Sup fans, welcome to my quick spoiler discussion. And I today have a special guest today on Shang-Chi. I already messed up the intro, but I'll just leave it in because eh, let the let the terrible people try to tell me otherwise how to run my thing on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah, so today we'll be just discussing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings on spoiler. This is spoiler heavy, folks. So I'm gonna leave a little card around here at the usual stick on the top for you guys to check out my spoiler-free review. All right, so before we begin, tell us about yourself before we begin.
Let's see. I guess I kind of started out like I'm writing. I do lots of writing like all the time. And I before I did writing, I was into like tokusatsu, like Godzilla, Ultraman, and then that stemmed into comic books like Iron Man, Spider-Man, stuff like that. And then, it wasn't until like high school when I discovered Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, and I started writing. Like, I took creative writing classes all throughout high school, but nothing's ever actually been published until like 2019. It was like my first thing that I published, but it was on like a website and never got completed. But like my first official public work was like last year. So
Nice.
yeah.
No, it's pretty much the same thing here. Of course, tokusatsu, growing up with Godzilla films and renting the VHS tapes when I can actually get a chance.
I'd rent, like, my dad had like a box set, and it was like, I can't remember, it was like 5 Godzilla movies, or no, it was like 4 of them, because it was like Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla versus Mothra, which was like Godzilla versus the Thing, but it still said like Godzilla versus Mothra. Yeah. Godzilla's Revenge, Terror of Mechagodzilla, and Rodan.
Nice. No, it's
so yeah.
I believe it was. Let me see. Yeah, it might be the Scimitar release because it probably has that green art, or probably has
because they're like, because it was like, I remember it would have been like 2001, 2002, maybe 2003, because like, I got into it because Monsters Inc. had just come out. So I really liked, I liked the monsters from there. And then my dad's like, oh yeah, these are my monster movies. I sat down and watched them. And I think that's where my life kind of, for better or worse, became what it is.
Oh yeah, and probably also the passion for just loving just the geek nerd culture. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was I think I was 5 years old. I don't know. Actually, I have not told the story yet on my channel. I know I was introduced to Godzilla because of they played the trailer on TV a lot for Godzilla 2000, and I was like 5 years old when it came out, and I still remember to this very day just the whole rock heavy metal music, and I wanted to see it, but I never got the chance. I had to wait like I think like a year or two. This is back then when I think movies on home video took like a year or two to come out, and at this theatrical run. And I actually got confused with the Roland Emmerich film. I thought that was the Godzilla like 2000 and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I got confused and I saw it. I'm like, I'm waiting for him to breathe fire and atomic breath, and he never did, and he died. And when I finally saw when I saw the real Godzilla, I expected him to die. Like, oh, he's not gonna die or something like that. And no, because he's indestructible.
I was at an age where like they still had like TriStar still kind of had the license to Godzilla, because they would they'd put out like I don't know if you remember, but they had like some DVDs of like the Heisei movies, and it was like 2 movies on 1 DVD. But because TriStar still had the rights for it, like there'd always be like, the Godzilla Taco Bell commercials, or like there was like one for the Super Bowl where it was like the scene in the movie Godzilla attacks like the truck full of fish, but because it was the Super Bowl, they like did editing, and so instead of like a bowl full of like the truck of the fish, it was like Doritos, I think.
Yeah, they changed the roar too.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I
I
actually
didn't
have.
mind the roar in the 1998 movie, but
Yeah, it's technically the original, just like slightly sped up or something.
it's like kind of sped up, and it's got like this low frequency growl in the background, kind of. Plus, they mixed it with like elephant trumpets and stuff like that, so to make it sound, more animalistic.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I'm actually one of these days. I actually have all those DVDs, even the double-sided, and I rented the Ghidorah one, the VHS, and it glitched. It's weird because VHS tapes, I wasn't used to that, and it scared me. Like technology when it glitches freaked me out as a kid. And the whole Ghidorah, I remember like I saw it, like it played fine, but the next day I tried to watch it, it kind of like sped up a bit, like sounded like a squeaky thing, and I'm like, what happened? So not till
Mm-hmm.
like a few, yeah, not until like a few years till I bought the double bill DVD. Now I have the Blu-ray, and well, hopefully Toho can hurry up with those 4K masters.
Yeah, I'm hoping Criterion will then release, not only the Showa era films, but the Heisei era films and all the other ones, because I, as like a Godzilla obsessed kid, when, the Spider-Man movies were popular, I kind of watched the crap out of those DVDs. And so they've all got scratches. And the only ones I believe I own on VHS are 1985, because it's the American version of it. And then that one doesn't have like any release aside from the VHS.
Yeah,
And I think I have Godzilla versus Monster Zero on VHS.
I have the well, it's called Monsters. It was from the Classic Media DVDs. That's when he started releasing the Japanese version in the States for the first time.
Oh, okay.
I'm good. I'm for, yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, it's just, yeah, mine was just called Godzilla versus Monster Zero, and it was just the American version. It was just on VHS because one of our neighbors was doing a garage sale because he was going off to college, and he had like the VHS tapes of like all the original Godzilla movies, and the only one that I didn't have was like Monster Zero. So
Oh yeah.
mm,
Yeah, I wanted to retire those classic media DVDs, like put them in the base, well, safe and sound in the basement. But then again, unfortunately, what Toho did, I feel like Toho pretty much, I think, but then again, a lot of the forums and excuse me, on the forums, they were like, and I agree with a lot of people that I feel like Toho screwed over Criterion. But then again, they've been doing it now lately, even worse now. I think they did it with Classic Media with the don't include extras, and with Toho, they were like, well, don't include the US versions. You can include either the international cuts or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Because I know that Criterion, even I believe I think John Mulvaney, I don't know who it was, but somebody that worked with that was part of the production of the set, they were like, we wanted to include like everything. It's just that Toho would not allow us. And it's not like
yeah.
working with other, sorry?
Yeah, with as big of an icon that Godzilla is, not only in Japan but internationally, you'd think you know, they'd want to include stuff like that, especially after like Shin Godzilla was so like Shin Godzilla was massive in the US. Like I think it ran for like 2 weeks extra than it was supposed to, or something like that.
Yeah. And the Broly film ran like an extra month when it's supposed to. Like it went because
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah. Japanese IP is like growing like a lot in the US. So I feel that Toho's just underestimating their IP right now. That I mean, it's not that we're saying that F the Japanese version, we're just saying that we just want to preserve what was part of Godzilla's history because we were introduced to Godzilla with those
Mm-hmm.
dubs. So yeah, I still prefer the Japanese versions for sure, for in my opinion. But I mean, I would love just for nostalgia and just to have like preserve the history. It's just for like also for like to have fun watching is just to have the dubs at least. But Toho is
Yeah.
Toho, and I can't really blame Criterion for
At
that,
least they're
especially.
not. Yeah.
Sorry.
At least they're not Toei. At least they're not like Toei, who the second anything Kamen Rider gets mainstream in America, they shut it down.
Yeah. Or Funimation, how like aside from the controversy that would have to happen with the voice actors, they also like constantly re-release Dragon Ball Z, and then they always got to screw it up and stuff like that. I feel
Yeah.
yeah. I still I mean I was so gullible still when they did when I pre-ordered the 30th anniversary set. I because then again I had this thing in my head. I'm like, you know what? We still there's a couple months away. They can listen to our criticisms. They could change it, and they did not. They literally did not care. They really and I was like, well, at least it is. Unfortunately, it is the best the series looks on home video until hopefully
Yeah.
it gets replaced. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that, yeah, I'm hoping that G Kids does a good job with Evangelion,
Yeah,
because, you know, I don't think we've ever had, we haven't had, I don't think we've had the original series of Evangelion like as any release in the US, except for maybe having it on like TV or something like that.
yeah, I've
But
actually
like, I know the rebuild films have been released here.
I have never seen Evangelion just yet, and I'm like, I even asked a couple of my friends who are more experts in anime, and they're like, there's some is mixed, some like that, but mostly it's just positive. And I was actually on Twitter. I was gonna tag you and Yoko Higuchi and be like, hey, do you think this set is worth picking up? Because it really was like it shocked me also that G Kids is also I believe it's owned by Shout Factory, and they've been going nuts this year with their horror selections lately. So I'm like, hey, is it worth the picking up? Because it's like going for 200, but you know what? For the hardcore, as I say, it could be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, well, they the $200 one is just like they've got like three different releases. They've got like the standard edition, which is just a Blu-ray, and it's like $30 or something like that. It's just the Blu-ray with the episodes. Then they've got like a deluxe edition, and then they've got the collector's edition, which is like $200. I'm just hoping that we'll get like a box set of the 4 rebuild films, because I feel like I'm one of the only people that thinks that the rebuild films are better than the original series, but that's just me.
Oh, dude,
So
I have also I have opinions like that it'd be quote unquote like controversial or just like just like it just have self opinions on things. Yeah, it's like with I'm one of those people that, despite it's pretty flawed, I still believe Singular Point is a massive improvement over the anime trilogy. But uh,
I
but
would say the opposite. I didn't like Singular Point,
yeah, you made it clear on
but
social media, and yeah,
yeah,
no, it's fine, dude. It's great. I like it's
I
like
yeah,
yeah, it's like with it's like with Star Wars, how like like I overall enjoy the sequel trilogy overall, not everything, but I know a lot of people that don't like it, or a couple of people that are just mad on it. You know what? It's all good. There's no need to cut each
yeah,
other's
yeah.
throats. Yeah. But yeah, it's then again, yeah, it's always touchy things, and honestly, and I really respect the anime fans. I mean, the anime, not the anime trilogy fans. I really respect it because I like it when I see people enjoy stuff that I don't enjoy, though, because at least if it wasn't for me, it's for them, and it really makes me happy. It really, instead of getting like ass hurt, I'll be like, no, let them love what they love. It's like there's I don't think it's fair for people to like gatekeep things. And yeah, and yeah, that's all I gotta say about the anime trilogy. I mean, glad that people are there. It
Yeah.
has its fans, and I disagree with OmniViewer with the whole nobody likes the series. I'm like, you're dead wrong, my dude. And I don't know how many videos that guy's made, like I guess
Yeah.
the anime trilogy. Yeah. Oh, if
Yeah.
because yeah, I know that a couple people that watch my channel probably watch his stuff. So sorry, not sorry, folks, but I have to disagree with your boy OmniViewer. Respectfully disagree, but oof, yeah. Okay, yeah, this is getting awkward. All right,
All right.
so
Now that we're done talking about Godzilla and Evangelion, let's get on
getting
to
yeah,
Shang-Chi. Yeah.
get no more intros. Now let's get on with it. So, all right, so I'd say I already gave my thoughts on the film already on my channel. What you thought about it, like overall? You can say spoilers and everything. You can say whatever you want. So,
Yeah, yeah. If I'm being honest with you guys, like if I'm being honest with you, I just thought like I was kind of iffy with the Marvel Cinematic Universe because I was in the minority that didn't like Infinity War or Endgame or really anything else that came after it. I mean, I watched Loki. I thought Loki was pretty good on Disney Plus, but I didn't like Black Widow, and but I still kind of had high hopes for Shang-Chi because I had been reading the characters comics for like the past 5 years or whatever, and and I was still a bit iffy on it because when the first trailer dropped, it looked kind of meh, and then more
Yeah.
trailers, and I'm still not entirely sold on it. But I'm glad that it was one of those movies that it looks meh, but as soon as you go and see it, I was blown away. Like I was completely blown away.
I mean, I already love martial art films, but it's not just that. That film also like I know it's mainly Chinese culture, but it also pays tribute to Japanese culture, like especially like a couple of anime callbacks and stuff like that. Especially like like Dragon Ball or all that also
Yeah,
obscure stuff.
the entire final act was just like live action anime. That's all it that's all it
Yeah,
was.
and
But yeah.
I gushed and yeah, no, especially because I saw it at the Dolby Cinema. I saw it at the Dolby Cinema, and
Mm.
I felt everything around me during the final act, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, it delivered.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the thing that I really liked about it was that it, like, I don't know if you watched like Daredevil or Iron Fist or anything like that or any of the Netflix shows, but the reason why I liked Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and stuff like that is that because while yes, for the time it was the MCU. Kevin Feige decided it's no longer MCU, but now with Spider-Man, things are just going crazy. But I like them because they felt new. Like this was a new direction that we really hadn't seen before in the MCU because up until Daredevil and stuff like that, all we had was like we had like Captain America, we had Iron Man, we had Thor, we had Hulk. It was basically all these huge, big, strong superheroes blowing stuff up, and then Daredevil came along, and it was more like he's just a guy. It's more street level. The fights are more intense. Everything's a lot more crazy, and it's kind of like with Black Panther. Like when Black Panther made his debut in Civil War, everyone wanted a Black Panther movie because he was just so new and so different to the MCU, and I think that's what really stood out to me about Shang-Chi was just how new and bold it was.
Yeah, yeah, I just also love that it's like I can't say traditional when it comes to just traditions in general, especially for people or like people of color, especially with the Asian community. But it's also like it also try to teaches us also this thing is it's kind of like with the whole so like you don't always have to fully listen to what your parents say like I like tell because a
Yeah,
parent yeah with like they always use your parents always try to set you up as something that you're not and you can go against it but also never forget that what your full potential is and I love how the entire movie just carries through that and it really struck me personally because as as Mexican myself it's like when it comes to the Mexican community it's like they always your parents kind of see you as an extension of them and they try to shape you into something that you're not but and it's always there's always that uncomfortable feeling and that movie says that well you don't have to listen to them but don't ever forget that deep down they still love you or that you're still loved and you can still reach your full potential if you are willing to do it.
yeah, yeah. It was that really stuck out to me. Plus the whole like in China and Asian cultures, they've got I'm probably gonna butcher this, but it's called like I think it's like ancestral grief or something like that. And
Yeah.
they've got that whole theme going on throughout the movie. Like you've got Sean and you've got his sister and you've got his dad, and they're all going through this ancestral grief and they're doing it in their own in their own ways due to the loss of, their mother and his wife. And I thought that was a pretty good theme that they could establish on when it comes to Shang-Chi.
All the weight, all the stress is on him, on his back, and he was just like, you know what, nah. Fam is like, I can do the opposite, but also be more than that. It's like it has this complex message, and it's really really nice. I feel that a lot of people have yet to see the film. I feel that they could probably leave with that message about, yeah, like how you had been talking about with this whole grief and about this complex message, because it just, I think it can strike with anybody, really. It's not just Asians or minorities, but also like whites and everybody like that. Anybody can, it's a message that's for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because like there'll be people who will just be like, they'll have like a family member die and they'll just kind of, and some people and families take things, harder than others. And so because they'll think there was probably that last thing before they died that I didn't do that they wanted me to do or something like that. So that is something that I think, yeah, like you said, it can really apply to anyone or really anything, because you've got like, if you look at like animals like in the wild, like if you look at like a good example is like I watched a documentary, is Blackfish. It was on like the killer whales in captivity in SeaWorld. Like there was a mother whale, and like I can't remember her name, but anyways, there was a mother whale, and a little after she gave birth, they had to take the baby away because the baby would then go to see like another marine park across the planet or something like that. And so it's really the whole grief thing that can strike any walk of life.
Yeah. It was,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying you're going to show a whale Shang-Chi and they're going to, resonate with it, but yeah, I'm just saying that grief can really affect anyone.
Yeah, no, I saw that documentary. It's actually one of my favorite ones, even though that, it's a little controversial just because of how it's PETA supported it and all that stuff. And yeah, PETA's a whole different subject for me. But no, I remember seeing that moment, and they mentioned that the mother was shaking a lot, like before she started crying. And I'm like, this is intense. This is very intense stuff. And yeah, people don't know the consequence of grief. It's just very unpredictable.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that I liked, another thing that I liked was the whole, not being what your parents set you up to be. I guess I kind of like that with Aquafina's character, Katie. Like they show up and they're having breakfast, and her mom's not, she's not too fond of her, working at a parking garage. And and I like that she's kind of, she's doing that because it's what she loves and she wants to do, what she wants to do. And she eventually, she goes on this, what she wants to do. She wants to go on this journey with, with Sean and all this. And she ends up, doing what she wanted to do. And she seemed to have a good time at the end of the film. So,
Yeah, and then she actually had some amazing character development. And yeah, I remember she took the final shot at the yeah, what was it? Was it the evil one, I believe, or the dark one? What was the name?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. She
I
took
like
the
how she
final.
just, it was just, it was just kind of like a lucky shot that she happened to get it.
Yeah, one in a
But
million.
it was, yeah, she was still great. Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, and I'm glad she's not playing that whole like ghetto perspective and all that stuff. 'Cause I remember like I was watching the Double Toasted review before the I saw the movie, and Corey, he was just of course the host. He was just like, man, I really hate. I'm glad that I love Aquafina here and I love her more because I'm glad she dropped that black scent, that fake black scent she has, because it was so annoying with her performances in some of her movies apparently. And you know what? I'm glad she did, because I'm like, one, it's offensive if you bring that accent up again, and two, you know what? It's just gonna hurt your performance. And when she dropped, when she looked, it looks like she dropped that, and I believe it really helped her performance a lot and actually helped her more emotes a bit, if that makes any sense.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I mean, when you listen to her in this movie, she still kind of sounds the same, but it's less thick, you know. Like
Yeah.
she was probably, you know, like in Ocean's 8, I think was one clip that someone mentioned it was in, but she was, you know, being a street thief, so she was probably trying to be gangster. But I don't think she was doing it to, you know, offend anyone. But you know, that's
Yeah.
just me. That's just me.
No, yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. You even changed my mind with a lot of things here too, which is nice. No, and what was I gonna say? No, and also the comedy though, like was when Aquafina, not just Aquafina, but everybody's comedy. Is it just me or was the comedy just came up more natural than other Marvel films?
Yeah, that was definitely something that I enjoyed because you've got in the past like 12, 13 years or whatever, um a lot of the comedy probably since the Avengers, a lot of it has felt like very, very forced. And so I was kind of worried about that because like with Black Widow, like there was a scene where like they mentioned the vasectomy or whatever, or
Yeah.
the hysterectomy or whatever that they did to her. And then, you know, and that I'm like, that's pretty heavy stuff. But then her dad just starts cracking jokes and stuff like that. And it's all at the wrong time. But this one felt a lot more natural, kind of like with the first Iron Man movie. It's like, yes, there was comedy in that first movie, but it wasn't like forced because that movie itself still had some very heavy subject matter and the comedy wasn't forced.
Yeah, no, it's basically, yeah, it's basically what is going back to the whole Iron Man. I also feel that it's like going back to the old Iron Man stuff and the old Iron Man formula. But I also feel like this is kind of like a soft reset of the button for the tone of Marvel, even though it's still familiar territories, especially with the beats and the arcs and of course the formula, superhero formula that to follow. But it still feels like a proper Phase 4 film compared to Black Widow.
Yeah, plus I mean the 10 Rings army has been in the MCU since the first Iron Man movie. Like those were the terrorists he was captured by in that first movie. And I'm surprised I didn't catch on to it back then.
Yeah,
But
yeah, when I just
so they've
found
kind
it.
of been, yeah, and they've kind of, so it's nice to know that they've kind of been like in the background of the entire MCU because you've got like Iron Man 2, you've got one of the guys is part of the 10 Rings, and then you've got more 10 Rings like subtle Easter eggs and little nods here and there throughout you know, these past 12 years. So it was nice to see, you know, the 10 Rings in action, and it was nice to see you know, where they come from and how they started and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're very, very intimidating. They really are a real threat to the world. Like they are. Like holy crap.
Yeah, I thought yeah, Wenwu was yeah, he was really intense. Like, and I feel like he was a good step in the right direction for Marvel villains, especially since the MCU kind of knew they messed that up in Iron Man 3 when they had Ben
Yeah,
Kingsley's character as the Mandarin.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I
but
still,
he was in
yeah,
that. He was in Shang-Chi as well, which I thought was
yeah,
pretty funny.
yeah. It's kind of like a slight apology for those who got mad because I'm actually one of those people that was fine with it because of the. I mean, I just feel that I just feel that it's very Shane Blackish, and then of course, if you're gonna sign Shane Black up to director of Marvel film, you gotta expect some expect subversion and stuff like that. But I'm glad I'm of course they retconned it right away, even before this movie with the Thor: The Dark World on the Blu-ray. They have a I think they was that's when back then when they still did short films for the movies. I believe there's the fake Mandarin was notified that the real Mandarin found out what he was doing, and he was just like, "Hey, the real Mandarin found out what you're doing, and he's pissed off." And I was just like, "What?" So I'm like, "Oh, so the real Mandarin is gonna show up, and look what happened. He just made him into a jester." And you know what? That's very poetic, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, then again, I feel
But yeah.
yeah, I still feel that. Yeah,
Mm.
sorry.
Oh no, so I was just clearing my throat. I didn't say anything.
Yeah, sorry. No, I mean, if when it comes to like twists of the MCU, I'm one of those people that you know what, at least the Mandarin reveal that that he's all they was enacted all the time is better than. Well, what the hell? I had the name. I just had it on my brain, and now it just fell off because of how forgettable it was. It was a Taskmaster.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was. I mean, I didn't mind the
Yeah,
gender. Yeah, yeah, I didn't mind the gender thing. I'm just like, you didn't do shit with her, so what the hell's the point? Sorry, go on.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Something that I really love is definitely the characters and like the world that we got and the world building that we got. I thought was, amazing, and I liked seeing them go from Chinatown, San Francisco to China instead of like with Black Panther, which you're immediately, dropped into Wakanda the second it starts.
yeah, 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 and also I like how very authentic it is. It's not like this fake Chinese aesthetic that they've been doing, especially with the movie Mulan. How offensively like try hard like fake aesthetic it is, and here it's like natural. Like they actually like show streets of China, and then I think it is China, but they show like actual authentic locations, and even the when they go to Ta Lo, it's like that's very authentic looking, not like this whole oversaturated colors.
Yeah, yeah. I know that for Mulan, they did film like in China, but it was controversial because it was like near some concentration camps or something like that.
Yeah.
But at least, yeah, it did feel authentic. I mean, I'm sure that everything that was in China was probably just like, on a sound studio, because every time like a Marvel movie comes out on Blu-ray, if you're on Twitter, they'll have the VFX breakdown, and sometimes like the
Yeah.
actors aren't even there. And
Yeah. I mean, at least we know where that all that money goes, but still, oof, oof, like
they
that.
yeah, they probably
That's
took it hard after losing to like what they had Endgame and Infinity War, and they lost to like a space movie and I think like 1918. So
yep. Shit. And as much as a lot of CGI has been given, CGI crap has been given to the sequel trilogy, hey, at least the Star Wars sequel trilogy were at least shot on location, Marvel. Jeez. And shot on actual film, like 35 millimeter film, and they still use that 2K digital stuff. And that's why when you purchase the 4K home video release of like every Marvel film, it's like not a big upgrade. But then again, Disney like half-asses their home video now these days. But yeah.
yeah, probably because they've all got it on Disney Plus anyways. So
Why go for the extra effort, folks? It's like you're gonna see some like these bigger home video people go like, oh well, Shang-Chi does not look that different on 4K Blu-ray than the streaming service. It's like, well, that's Disney. They really stopped caring with physical media folks like myself.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think so. One thing that I liked was I really liked the characters. Like, um, I'm probably gonna butcher this. Like, I follow him on Twitter, but Simu Liu, who plays Sean in this movie, I thought he was great. Like, he was a
Yeah.
very, very nice, convincing Shang-Chi, and I really liked his character arc from because it gets revealed through flashbacks, and it's a really nice, you get to learn about him through this movie, with each location that they go to. Each thing is different, and you get to learn more and more about him. And then eventually, at the end, it all comes together, and then you've got a really nice fight scene at the end there.
Yeah, because the entire movie, like even for to his backstory, is he's still fighting. If it's like, oh, if I'm gonna go through this, if I'm gonna be an assassin, like what my dad did, like what my dad wanted me to become, and he made the decision that I'm gonna kill someone, and that's gonna be my dad because his dad is really messed up like that, and I really like that. It just right away like has a resolution, and then he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go what I want to do, and I'm just gonna kill my dad because my dad is going out of hand with all this stuff. And yeah, it really, even he used the word kill like crazy, like the way he delivered it. Simu delivered it so
Oh
dark,
yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
sinister.
I don't think there's ever been a character in the MCU that's ever said like I'm going to kill someone. And if they have, it didn't feel as like heavy as it was delivered in this film.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, like they say it in Daredevil, even though it's not apparently not part of the MCU now. But when they say it, after the first few times, it kind of loses weight.
yeah. Now it's just become more like exploitation rather than meaning.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just no, yeah, I think a couple of MCU characters, I think they did say the word kill, like the way I'm gonna kill someone or something like that, but I feel like the way it just flies so quick. And here it's like Simu Liu, the way he delivered it, emphasized on that. Like, this is my goal. I'm gonna kill my dad. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you can see it on his face that he knows he has to do this because his dad, he's not listening to any reasonings. He's not being rational. He's not thinking straight. And so it's kind of like it's even though his dad shaped him into be a killer, it's still his dad. He still loves his dad. And so it looks like it's just bringing him a lot of pain that he has to do this.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's just it's sadness and anger at the same time toward when he was delivering that. And I'm just like, well, you got to do what you got to do, man. It's for your sanity, for your sister, for Katie, for everybody, not just for your and mostly for yourself, really. Like he has to do it just for mostly for himself because it's just like he was like 7 when he was training to become a killer, and I'm like, dude, that is. I wonder how much trauma that kid went through. Like I know they're showing in flashes, but I would like to know more, like what was going on, like how it like the trauma that he went through when he was like 7 up to 14.
Yeah, because that that's a lot to go through, especially at such a young age. And there's like an entire generation like in China and Japan of children, that kind of grew up in, like end of World War II, stuff like that. And they kind of grew up having to be, having to be tough because there was really no other choice and because it's what their parents wanted. And like even like not just in like Asian countries, but there's lots of places where they'll exploit children and they'll do things like this, and it's just and the child will do nothing wrong. They're just they want approval, they want to be loved by their parents, and they want to make their parents proud.
Oh yeah, no, it's and yeah, in Mexico they kind of do that, but mostly with when it comes to like the ranch things, they go harder. It's kind of like with if you don't work hard enough, you're not worth a value. You're not worth anybody's time. And I'm just like, wow. It's like it's frowned upon if you don't work hard enough, if you don't like punish yourself like that. And it's yeah, and also a lot of them are like, yeah, you be a man, suck it up and all that stuff. And it is sad. It's the trauma that the kid goes through, and he unfortunately he might just carry that trauma towards when he has his own kids. So it's insane.
Yeah. Let's see. The next character that I thought stood out to me was definitely his sister. She
Yeah.
felt like she felt very much like Black Widow for the new generation, right? It's like Black Widow came in and like Iron Man 2, and she was super badass and she was super cool, even though she was still kind of in Iron Man's shadow. And so I feel like we'll be seeing her more throughout the MCU of her doing really kick-ass things. And, hopefully when she does get her own movie, it's not, you know, just, ugh.
Yeah, like wasted potential. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is no, I also just love how the after credit scene when she takes over now the Ten Ring Society, and I'm like, well, what is she gonna be doing? Is she gonna still like be is she a bad guy now, or is she a good person, or I'm not really fully 100% sure, but hopefully, she can reestablish the Ten Rings, but then again, I feel like she might just make the Ten Rings do what it looks like bad things, but it's always for the greater good, I believe. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I really like that, like especially when she expresses her emotions through through movement, like through her face and through her movement, especially during that montage scene in Talo, how she's just like really like training and all that stuff, but she's actually showing like an arc, like she's showing some development that is like, well, it's a, I mean, what was I gonna? I forgot where I was going to go on it, but it was like some sort of development that she was just like, well, let me see if I can perfect not just my moves, like my martial arts, but also like just to develop myself, like develop my mental state, because martial arts is always through like mind and through body. So, and I just like that during the montage scene, she's just showing like some growth there and like just being a better person and not just be a hateful person, like to hate everything because, well, yeah, the person that you really cared about like left you, which understandable, really. She has an understandable reason why she hates Sean.
Yeah. Uh, Something that I learned recently is that okay, so like in the comics, the Ten Rings, they're more like finger rings. Like there's 10 of them because one goes on all four of your fingers and your two thumbs. But in this one, they're more like these. They're just called iron rings, and they use them in China for kung fu. They use them for fighting training. Um, it's essentially like if boxers like train with like weighted gloves and stuff like that, and they each weigh like like a few kilograms or whatever. And so you're supposed to have them with there's supposed to be 10 of them on your forearms, and they're supposed to help improve strength and strikes and stuff like that. There's a few Hong Kong action movies where they've got like your typical big bad guy that the main character is supposed to take down, or one of his henchmen. They've got some, and I thought it was a really cool way to incorporate to really change the Ten Rings for their culture, and to show that it's for martial arts. Because if we're being realistic, I don't think you'd be able to. It would probably hurt not only yourself and your opponent if you had like actual like finger rings and was punching people with them and stuff like that. I just thought that was pretty interesting. An interesting way to do the Ten Rings.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's yeah, because I think I first saw that iron ring technique and was in the movie Kung Fu Hustle,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. That was it.
yeah, the Kung Fu Hustle, and I know that I found that I was a kid when I saw the movie. I thought it was really funny, and a lot of people see it as, oh, it's really funny, make it look bad at the same time, but it's actually, yeah, like what you said, it's actual a martial arts thing, and a lot of people, because I know that even Stephen Chow incorporates real martial arts moves there, and here in Shang-Chi, it's like, yeah, we're gonna use it more in a more literal and more philosophical sense, and not just in martial arts, but also like in power. And I think I've also heard that the Ten Rings, even the or like the powers, like the actual powers of the Ten Rings have been changed, as far as I heard.
Um, in the comics, the 10 rings, they each contain like one superpower from like 10 cosmic superheroes. So someone like Sentry or something like that. But so far, um in the mid credit scene, when they're in the library and they're talking to Wong, he says, you know, his dad found them in a crater. That was how they were introduced in the comics. They were inside this asteroid and they crash landed on Earth, and that's kind of where they came from. I'm wondering if the Eternals will have some kind of role in the origin of the MCU's version of the Ten Rings, because that I feel would be a good place to really um, pick things up where Shang-Chi left it off.
Yeah, that's I think that one's coming up before Spider-Man, I think.
Um, Spider-Man is in December, I think.
Yeah,
I can't remember when Eternals is.
I think I work at an AMC movie theater. And we actually just got the poster, and I forgot to check the date on it because it has the date on it. It's just that I'm not sure. I think it's around November. I'm not sure, but I know that we just got the posters in for the movie, and yeah, I think we also got the not just for everybody there, but we also got like the individual characters.
Mm,
It's just that we just yet to display them, but yeah, I'll see if I if I can check the date. I think it's around November, probably.
yeah,
It's supposed to come out this year, and it'll be nice. Yeah, it'll be
yeah. I
nice.
could. Yeah,
Hmm?
November seems right because Venom comes out in October, and then Spider-Man is December.
Yeah. Oof, yeah. Then again, October's gonna be really loaded. Really, it's gonna have Doom, Halloween Kills, and even and Venom. And then November probably is gonna have Eternals, and of course December is gonna be all for Spider-Man. So yeah, MCU's again, they're gonna take the reins of the box office, and yeah, it's hopefully Eternals. Yeah, they will probably expand on the Ten Rings there. Hopefully, if not, then if they could just probably like gloss over for a little bit, like but properly do it. Don't like just go, oh, Ten Rings, Shang-Chi. Okay, now let's get back to the plot. I'm like, what was that then?
Yeah,
Like, what
where
was
it'd
that?
be like with Thor Ragnarok or whatever, Hela knocks over the Infinity Gauntlet and like all the stones in it or something like that.
Yeah, that is. I actually found that pretty funny though. When she knocked over the fake gauntlet, I'm like, oh, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, oh, it's fake. No, it's. Oh, yeah. Hopefully they don't gloss over like everything, but uh yeah, hopefully Eternals can expand on that. And if not, then well, maybe in the next Shang-Chi or in the Ten Rings. Hopefully like they make a solo Ten Rings film.
Yeah, I think, yeah, a film about, Wenwu going around and wrecking people with the 10 rings would be pretty cool. Even if
Yeah.
it's just like a Disney Plus series.
Yeah, and oh my god, when he's like I call him still the Mandarin most of the time because he is the real one, but oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
That, that guy, even when he's not like in his threatening look, when he's not looking threatening, I'm still like
You're
eyeballing him because I'm just like,
yeah, you're just like unnerved because you're just like, what, how many people has this guy killed and like when will he kill again? And
yeah. And I'm like, it's like if I was sitting in that same table he was, they were in that one scene with when he was just like, oh, do you know your culture when it comes to Aquafina just minding her business? I'm just like, uh, is he? I'm like
yeah,
afraid.
I was like, okay, as a fight, like, is he gonna throw a punch or something like that? And is
Yeah,
Sean gonna block it? And I'm like, and that's really what I really like that about him, is that he was just so, for the movie and like the MCU as a whole, he's kind of been really in the shadows. And now that you've seen him, he's got this presence and he's just so powerful and impactful.
yeah,
Um, yeah, the actor for him, uh, Tony Leung, I think he's done lots of lots and lots of like Hong Kong action films since like the 90s. So I thought
yeah.
it was nice that they get someone who's more familiar with this genre um in the film.
Yeah, I was watching Double Toe. Yeah, going back to Double Toast's review on that, I was like, yeah, because in the '90s, when you watch like imported or just Hong Kong martial arts films, you were like the cool kid when it comes to like not just film, but like in like the classroom. You're like, oh, you the cool kid who watched like martial arts films in the '90s, and it was actually a callback probably to that. Like, yeah, let's get a veteran actor to do this, Tony Leung, and yeah, it's like a nice little like subtle callback to the classic '90s Hong Kong martial arts films, and yeah, that he still got it. That guy is still he played a lot of protagonists, I believe, and this is actually one of his first like few antagonistic roles. And I mean, man, like that guy can play anything.
Yeah, he was outstanding in this. He was amazing.
Yeah, like going back to the dinner table scene, I would have been so terrified though at that if I was there because I would be like, if I say anything, I don't know if I'm gonna offend them or not because if I do offend them, I'm just gonna like half a second I'm dead because he'll
Yeah,
just yeah he's
he
very
uh,
sorry.
he's like he was very intense throughout the entire film. Like not only with like the training, I remember probably the one scene that I think made me the most afraid of him. It was it was after the Iron Gang had come in and killed, essentially killed Sean's mom in front of him. And then, he kind of takes him to the Iron Gang's base and he kills every single one of them, like in front of his son. And so that was like really, really intense and really scary, especially for a kid who was like, 6, 7, just saw his mother die. And now his dad is killing like all these people.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And he made him watch. Like he was just like I think he just told him that just watch how you like just watch how you deal with your enemies. And then he's just instantly killing them with like one or two punches. And then he just like probably exploded a guy's head with one punch, like like half feet away from his son right in front of him. I'm like, dude, did he
Oh
just like
yeah, the one guy like flew and hit the glass like right next to him, and then yeah.
pretty sure that guy has no head anymore, man. So I'm like, oh my God.
I don't know why, but like when he did kill that guy at the end there, um I thought of Mortal Kombat, the most recent movie,
Yeah.
where Kung Lao does his flawless victory move. And so that's kind of what I thought, because he kind of stands up as like flawless victory, and then like, you know, spins the brim of his hat and
Yeah, and he just like covered in blood. I'm like, man, why wasn't Sean like covered in blood? His face was covered in blood when that guy's head probably exploded in front of him.
yeah.
Yeah, I was
Well,
like,
it is technically a Disney movie, and they have to keep it PG-13.
uh,
But
oh, yeah. You could just spread a conspiracy theory around Twitter, be like, hey man, there's an R-rated cut of Shang-Chi out there, and big example was that scene.
yeah,
That was yeah. I was just like I was very like very scared, intimidated by him. With that scene right away, I'm just like yeah no, I don't want to live in the MCU universe anymore because that if that guy's around, I don't want to be. Nope, I don't want to
yeah,
be
and the
around him.
MCU has had like big bads like Thanos and Ultron, but they never did anything to that extent and to like and the same way that he did it. I mean, yeah, Thanos kills all the Asgardians from Thor Ragnarok, but it's all like off screen. So you're not really that intimidated by him.
Yeah. And with the and I actually honestly I'm just gonna say that imagine if the Mandarin like showed up during the endgame fights between Thanos, I feel like he would have like backhanded Thanos right there because yeah, I would have been like, oh my God, was it with the power of the 10 rings and just Thanos right there, man, he could just instantly deflect, maybe even deflect the move from one of the stones. So I'm like,
Probably.
yeah, I'm just like, shit, like I was about to like tell that guy, like, well, then again, no, because he would probably kill my ass. If, like, man, where were you during Endgame, man? We could have used you.
Yeah,
We could
that
have like, yeah,
I'll pitch it to Marvel for What If season 2, you know.
I get to watch it, but a lot of people like gushing over it. So I'm like, ooh, okay, because I think they introduced the zombies arc now, I believe.
Yeah, I think they started doing zombies.
That looks like What If is more for like the older crowd.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, no, it was not really his, but that guy, the Mandarin, that guy, he's like
It's
probably
like
number one.
yeah, Marvel knew they messed up, and this was how they were, making it up for us.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like I think it could be my either my sec. I don't know. I can't really rank the villains because it's just one. It's too easy because I'm like, well, 80 to 90% are very like disposable, and like the good 10% is like you know very like easy to pick. So maybe he probably is number two, number one for me. The Mandarin, like the real one.
Yeah.
It's him, Killmonger, and Thanos. But then again, it's because Thanos because it's the performance of Josh Brolin was just so good. But like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was so good. But when it comes to like tragic backstory, it's like I actually feel that I like him better than Killmonger. But
Yeah,
I still like
because
Killmonger.
yeah, with Killmonger, like yeah, like yes, you can say Killmonger is relatable, but he's really only relatable to like a certain demographic,
Mhm.
Whereas with Wenwu, and it feels like, anyone can kind of sympathize with him.
Yeah, no, it's I even tell people this, and I even said on my review, I cried like three times when his backstory when Mandarin's backstory comes up, and yeah, all he wanted was just to be reunited with his family, not just his wife, but his family. He just wants a family again, and I think that's what he wanted after conquering and killing people and not being satisfied. Even when I saw that, I'm like, well, I mean, his performance is gonna be good, but I already can see this guy being generic, like a villain. But then no, like as the movie progressed, all he wanted was just to be happy, like to find love and all that stuff. And he can't get it because well, he had it and he lost it, and he's just trying to get it back. And I'm just like, geez, like too much for me to handle. Like I just decided to like I decided to tear up a bit during the thing. I'm just really glad that the cinema was dark, so nobody can see me like tear up. But yeah, his
Yeah,
backstory
no
was
one can see you cry.
it was so sad. I'm like, Jesus, like I know I teared up during Killmongers, but here I'm just like, this is like three times because I'm just like, yeah, that's what everybody wants. And he had that temporarily, and that was just stripped away from him. And he was just trying to get it back. And unfortunately he fell for the whole fake soul thing and the fake voices, and it's just sad. Even when he's like trying committing like almost basically he's committing mass genocide towards his wife's village, it's still like sad because he just wants to be reunited with his wife, and I'm just like, geez, this is like heavy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, especially since yeah, the Iron Gang, they were like, he had kind of, tormented them, in the past. So I feel he's also feeling like his wife's death is also, you know, in a way it's still somewhat his fault because he was involved with the Iron Gang, and so he thinks because it was his fault he can now fix it any way he can. And yeah, that's how I saw it. Was he felt it was his fault, he's trying to fix it, and he's trying to bring in as many people as he can to help him. And but yeah, it's just terrible. Like I know there have been, people that I've lost, that I've tried to get back, and it's kind of been hard to accept the reality that no, they're gone. This is the family you have now. This is what you've got.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Sorry to, yeah. But yeah, no, I've lost a couple people, like friends, family, and mainly just when it comes to just relationship, not like when it comes to death. I mean, I have lost people related to death, but also people like you just stray apart. And yeah, it's like you're dealt with what you're dealt. You have to deal with what you have, and there's nothing you can really do about it. It's just you have to find a way to not just move on, but just to better yourself and for others. And
Um, yeah.
yeah,
One thing that I did like was I did like that they had Trevor, like the first, Mandarin. He was in it, and he had the uh I forget what they're called, but like I was doing, because for a story I was writing, um the first story arc, they go to China, and I was researching Chinese demons and spirits. So I know what they're called, but like it just can't come to my mind right away. I think he called it like Norman or something like that. And I found it funny that like he was the only one that could talk to him. And um I liked how his upbringing and acting was him being inspired by Planet of the Apes, but really it was just him thinking that they got monkeys to ride horses, but they weren't actually riding horses. They were acting like they were riding horses.
Yeah.
And they they felt they felt very much like uh Korg and Meek in Thor Ragnarok. They were, because of how silly they were just one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, no, it was. Oh no, it was very funny. No, it's very funny because especially they didn't even try. They barely try to correct him. That like no, let's just let him believe that those are just monkeys pretending that they're acting and riding horses. I'm like, y'all not y'all not gonna tell him that no, it's just like makeup effects. No, they're just like no, just let him believe that stuff. And it's very I find it adorable, really at the same time, funny and adorable.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised Wenwu didn't have like a brief interaction with him, as he was storming the village, because like he had him captive there. So I was like, what kind of interaction does he have with him, or what does he think of him, or something like that.
Yeah, man. I wonder how he felt about Tony Stark because I know that apparently I heard that the Mandarin is basically the Joker to Iron Man.
Yeah, he has been a pretty prominent villain in the Iron Man comics. I don't think he's been in anything recently. I know he was in an Iron Man comic like before Iron Man 3 came out, because they were like, oh yeah, the Mandarin's going to be the main villain for Iron Man 3. So they were kind of pushing out a new story arc with him in it. But since then, they deemed it a bit racist and offensive, so they retconned him, and you know, he's he and Shang-Chi have been retconned probably the most for being deemed a bit too racist and offensive, and I can kind of agree with some of them.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's for the better, really, because we got an awesome movie, and hopefully, it's gonna inspire some more like Marvel comics inspired by the style and the look of the movie.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that what I really liked that final fight where it was the whole big fight scene in the village. It was very anime feeling. And a lot of people are just, scared to death to make a live action anime movie because because depending on what it is, it's either a hit or a miss. And even in Japan, it's like a hit or miss. They're either really good or some of them are, garbage because they're afraid that they won't be able to make it work. But in this movie, they had some things going on and they like made it work. Like the one thing that stuck out to me was it was Sean confronted Wenwu for like the first time. They had like this bout, this little exchange, and then Wenwu like punches him across the lake. The entire lake splits open, and I was like, that looks like something that they do in an anime. So
Right away, I'm like, that brought me flashbacks to like fights like that, and even he had like, yeah, and they were like do that whole anime fights when they had like, yeah, like an exchange and dialogue, and they will pause and then talk for a bit, and then like they'll keep going. I'm like, it's like with the when Wu was telling like Sean is like, yeah, like it's your fault that your mom died. I'm like, oh shit, they're hitting the heavy stuff like in during an anime fight when they like give you when they literally like go for like what hurts them emotionally to just to make him throw a punch. And it's like it reminds me of also like the Cell fight with Gohan. It's
oh
like how
yeah.
like Cell kept not just tormenting him with punches, but he keeps saying that, oh, like you're a wuss, you're not like your old man. You're like, you're nothing. And it's your fault that you're letting your planet die. I'm like, holy shit. I feel like they've been inspired like by some of course, the mainstream like Dragon Ball Z fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I know one of the production designers said that there was a lot that he took inspiration from Dragon Ball. Like Sean has like a sweater in the movie,
Yes.
and it's like
Yes.
orange and has blue sleeves. And then after that, he's got the rings. He's doing like a Kamehameha pose because he's about to go
Yeah.
fight the dragon or something like that.
Yes. Oh my god. That was the final blow, I believe. Like that
I
was yeah.
yeah, he like charged it up and yeah.
Yeah, he did the whole thing, but no, actually before he did that, he did the Kamehameha, just I believe to like plant the rings right inside the demon thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, yeah, because I almost shouted at the theater. I'm like, bro, I legit almost shouted, and it was like a
I
almost
I nearly screamed like at the end. Aquafina's like, oh yeah, they did like this Kamehameha wave on the
yeah.
dragon or something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, they know what it is. They know what they did.
Yeah, and Aquafina mentioned it at the end of the movie when they were like describing the events they went through the adventure, and she's like, and then you see Sean like do this Kamehameha to this demon dragon. I'm like, literally, like it's like,
Like they know what they did.
yeah, because they're having. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it made me think of like, I don't know why, but every time, like as I was watching this, I kept thinking this is more like a Dragon Ball movie than Dragon Ball Evolution was. Because my thoughts kept going back to Dragon Ball Evolution for some reason. And I'm like, this is what that movie should have looked like.
Yeah, and yeah, no, even you don't overly like don't adapt everything from the manga or anything like that. Just adapt the best things or just create your own story and but actually like honor or have fun with it. And they didn't do that with Evolution, but here they know that hey, let's just pay homage to like anime and have fun with it. Don't be embarrassed by that. And you can tell by especially how like they wrote the script and how they kind of directed Aquafina to like describe kind of the Kamehameha waves. They it sounds like how we reacted to when we saw like action scenes in anime. Like, oh my god, you go to the next day, or like after we like, yeah, like how we all shared our reaction on social media, we go like, oh my god, this happened, this, and you saw that.
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I'm
It
like,
kind of
yeah,
reminds
like,
me of like uh the the guy in Ant-Man. Like he'll be retelling the events from like the MCU
yeah,
from like from Ant-Man's point of view.
yeah.
That's
Oh
what it
my,
made me think of.
yeah, Michael Pena, yeah, his character is funny as shit. Oh, no, that was yeah, that the action was very awesome, man. I'm just like I was just like expecting to Shine get his ass beat most of the time throughout the fight. And yeah, he kind of did, but then again, it kind of threw me off that after like he summons the protector, that's when he just comes in and just like goes nuts. Like he has this one anime arc where like he just becomes stronger and he just fights the villain. And
Yeah, his power of friendship, his plot armor or whatever it's called.
yeah, no, it was. And I just love that whole. Even I had some Harry. I don't know why. I don't know why I had some Harry Potter vibes when he was when the Ten Rings got caught when he had
Oh
possession of.
yeah, when yeah, yeah.
It reminded me of Voldemort and Harry fight at the last movie, and it was like, oh shit, it looks like very like Harry Potterish, but again, it's in a good way, not like oh let's just bring out some like swords or wands and stuff like that and just do that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, that's yeah, the action in this movie was definitely it was a huge step like if Captain America Winter Soldier is like as action packed as they can get, at least when it comes to like regular street level fights, this was that, but dialed to 11. Plus, they've also got superpowers, and then there's like a kaiju fight in the middle of
yeah.
these kung fu moves, and
Yeah. Freaking Corey from Double Toast said he was just like, man, I was thrown because he liked the movie a lot, but he did have some in his opinion he had problems with the third act, and he said that I was having fun, but all of a sudden this movie became a Godzilla movie at the end. And I'm like, eh.
what I would give to have like a Godzilla movie where it's like where it's like two guys fighting in the foreground and then like the two monsters in the background just beating the crap out of each other, like with Godzilla Final Wars. Yeah.
Oh, we might get that. I mean, the MonsterVerse is not over yet, thank goodness.
That'd be something that I'd want for like the MonsterVerse. Like that'd be pretty cool.
Then again, imagine if like Disney gets the license to do Godzilla films. I'm like, you know what?
Uh,
They better.
they
Well, sorry.
Even though you can't, they'd somehow find a way to push a woke agenda in the Godzilla movies.
Yeah, yeah, some of that, yeah, but I mean, it's hey, I mean, then again, when you think about it, I know I'm gonna piss off a couple people in the YouTube community because I know my audience. And then again, in a way, Godzilla's kind of always been woke, but in the true woke, not this fake woke shit that we've been
Yeah,
seeing.
not the yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the franchise has always been woke. It's just that not that it's actually like what I go with because I'm pretty woke myself, but not like
Yeah,
the
it's not like in your face, jamming it down your throat, you know.
anti-whiteness and stuff like that. No, it's like actual like it's
Yeah.
like with like Hetero. It's a pretty woke movie, but it's like you. It's more like it goes by the real true definition of woke with like we gotta wake up and we gotta take good care of our planet and take care of ourselves. I'm like, yeah, that's true woke there. So yeah, I mean,
Well, I don't know. I think Godzilla against Mechagodzilla was pretty woke because Akane piloting Mechagodzilla was pretty badass. So I mean
yeah,
that was pretty woke in my opinion. So
I agree. Yeah, very yeah, like true feminism right there.
yeah,
Like
man.
true shit. Yeah. But yeah, no. Well, I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like they can pull it off. It's just that they could just they. I feel like the only thing that I know for a fact they're gonna screw up is the jokes. I'm like, I feel like they're gonna have some forced jokes on a serious thing, and I'm like, yeah, no. I feel like they
Yeah.
can. I feel like they can do it. It's just that the jokes, that's it. The tone is gonna be inconsistent. But I'm glad where the Godzilla is at Warner Brothers. So even though I disagree with their HBO Max stuff. But
Yeah. HBO Max and I mean, streaming services, yeah, I can see how they help in this pandemic, but it's kind of killing the movies because once you put it on streaming, people are just going to pirate it and the studios are going to lose money and stuff like that.
pay extra, yeah, lose money, pay extra money, and also cut down on the budget of films because even though, yeah, I feel that a lot of movies are pretty over budget like these days, I still feel that, it's because a lot of people work on these movies now and you have to pay each and every one of them. So yeah, and might have to cut the quality of the film, not just on special effects, but on writing and on actors and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what a few of the scenes in Black Widow kind of felt like. They kind of felt like they were being made for TV and like for the streaming service. It
Yeah,
was just because of like the quality of like one shot or like one or two shots or something like that.
or like that's kind of how I also felt for Wonder Woman 84 a bit. I mean, I still like the movie. It's just that, especially during the second half when when you finally see Wonder Woman do her thing, I'm like, why does it look like a terrible green screens in the background when she's swinging around? But I'm like,
Oh yeah, when she's like running on the street and stuff like that.
yeah, I'm
I
like,
mean, maybe that was the intention, so it looked like the original Wonder Woman TV show, but you know,
I actually got like Christopher Reeve vibes when watching that movie. I feel like that's why it felt more character driven and action driven. So it's all good.
yeah, yeah,
That's yeah. Well, at least I'm glad that at least Disney is like for now. I think they're doing a 45-day thing with Shang-Chi, but I know that they're gonna for now keep it exclusively in theaters. Which hey, look at that, it's thriving and it broke records on Labor Day, and it basically like I remember that basically
yeah.
a lot of those get woke go broke people got so mad when it was doing so well. And I'm like, hey, well,
I mean, it got people to see movies again, and I think I don't know if this is true, but I think it saved Venom from being delayed again because I
yeah,
heard rumors like before I was gonna go see Shang-Chi that Venom was gonna be delayed again, and then after that, like within by the time the weekend came, it had they were like, oh yeah, Venom's no longer moving, and I feel like that was because of Shang-Chi's success.
I feel like they moved it forward, I believe, because it was supposed to be in October. It was supposed to compete against Halloween, and they moved it forward to October 1st. So it's going to compete against Dune, which, okay. I mean, and again, the Dune fan, it'll be fine, honestly, because, Venom's more of a more well-known IP than Dune.
Yeah, yeah.
I still want it.
But
I'm still, yeah. Sorry?
I'm still probably gonna go see Dune. I I like I didn't like the originals that much. Like I kind of fell asleep my first time watching it.
Yeah. No, I actually like, let me see if I can like pull it out real quick. I got this as a blind buy, this thing,
Oh wow.
the original Dune. And yeah, I know that a couple of my subscribers are going to be like, oh, cool. When are you going to review it? Well, when I get the chance, because then again, it's sort of a blind buy, but I've heard some mostly mixed to bad things. I know I actually have my co-producer, he actually saw the original. He was just like, he loves being nostalgic when it comes to the 80s, but that's something that he's not fully fond of. This. And yeah, I might check it out. Then again, I know that originally this is supposed to have a feature-length documentary, and they had to drop it because I believe they didn't finish it on time. So
Yeah. I'm in the basement right now, and like my dad, he's got all these old like sci-fi books. There's like 7 Dune books that I think he's got. So he's read them all before, he went and saw the movies. So
yeah, I think I just want to see it just because I mean, I know Patrick Stewart's in it, but I also want to see it because I love Virginia Madsen. And she's also a Chicago girl. I'm a Chicago guy myself, and I really love her in Candyman. So I'm like, the first one, I really enjoyed her there so much. And here it's like I would love to see a more. I think this one she was more younger before she did Candyman. So that's one I mostly just see because of she's in it. But I've heard that mostly mixed to bad things about it, and unfortunately, the Blu-ray, this 4K is only the theatrical cut. It's not the extended cut and the TV cut. So yeah,
yeah.
that's uh I mean, I'll have some criticisms for it, but then again, unfortunately, that's what licensing is. It's like with the like Arrow, Criterion, and Shout Factory, they had to deal with. It's like you're given what you're given. I mean, if you want to fight for an extended cut, well, we could have it in the back, and if we don't, well, deal with it.
I mean, either way, I'm going into this new movie with an open mind because, like, when I started the last one, I fell asleep like right before they were about to bend space, and then I woke up and they were like, and it was like at the end, and they all had blue eyes, and I was like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, no, and yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna. Well, then again, I have HBO Max. I am gonna check *Malignant* on it, but then again, I don't know if I want to check out Dune or Venom first in theaters. But then again, Denis Villeneuve, the director, he's urging people to go see it in theaters. You know what? Hey, team theater. So I might just see Dune instead because, yeah, he really stuck the middle finger to Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I feel if Godzilla versus Kong, I felt kind of had that type of direction. I feel it probably would have done a lot better. I mean, it's the best performing of the MonsterVerse, but I feel like it would have done better if it was just exclusively in theaters.
Yeah, it still did good, but then again, and also as much as I really love the film, I feel like this is still the reason why a lot of people love it and enjoyed it is because it was, again, we just got out of a pandemic, and also it was like the first real film back in theaters, and after Tenet and Wonder Woman underperformed, like this is when everybody got comfortable, and even like this movie was pretty much advertised as the first movie, like the first true Hollywood summer blockbuster film to since the pandemic. I'm like, oh, that's clever marketing.
Yes, and we were yeah, people have been looking forward to it since I want to say since like the success of 2014.
Yeah,
Like
2015.
those first box office numbers are like, okay, we're making Godzilla's 2 and 3, there's going to be a Kong film, and then there's going to be Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes, yeah, I think that's when in 2015. I think that's when they announced the Kong movie. That's when
Yeah,
they're like, hey, we're gonna make it a shared universe, and I got really excited because I'm like, yeah, dude, it's about trying time to get a rematch, and I'm
yeah,
glad it did.
I'm still hoping that we get, I still hope we get the giant claw in the MonsterVerse.
I bet, yeah,
I, I think that'd be a pretty cool inclusion.
yeah, I'm actually gonna get that in the mail on Tuesday. The because Arrow, the ones who did
Oh
Doom,
yeah, yeah,
they're
I
putting out these.
forgot.
Yeah, it took a while for me to pre-order because I didn't want to order from their web. Because then again, I think it's only for their UK side and for Diabolic. I'm like, nah, I don't want to create another account. So I waited till Amazon, and it like took a couple days before you can pre-order the giant claw, but it's on the box set. So well, hopefully it's a new transfer. Hopefully, if not, then yeah, it's like with the I believe the Daimajin trilogy. They had to make do with the same masters that Mill Creek had to use because um Kadokawa did 4K masters, but they're not gonna get it till like this year, like later this year. And it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I think it's not just Toho, but I think they're also Japan is like, hey, if we don't get it, if we don't have it first, then you guys can't have it either. It's because they're so anti. So they're very anti piracy with their stuffs, and yeah, just very anti piracy.
yeah. I mean, I think they did that with the Gamera films too, because before Arrow released the Showa Gamera films, the Heisei trilogy and stuff like that, I think they did restoration on all of those for themselves first. And right now they're doing 4K restoration on like all the Showa era Kamen Rider shows, plus like all the crossover movies. So if we're going to get Kamen Rider in the West, like as a release, it's possible we might get it after they're done with their 4K restoration.
Yeah, it's like with what is gonna happen with for the 70th anniversary. I know that for sure. Criterion's gonna do a 4K set of the Godzilla Showa era films for sure because they love playing the waiting game. At least I gotta give Criterion credit. They love to play the waiting game to get the rights to a lot of stuff assets. So yeah, because I
Yeah.
know they're doing 4K now, and it's about time because they're doing Uncut Gems, they're doing Menace to Society, Citizen Kane, and Mulholland Drive. So I'm like, whoa, not just you guys are not just doing 4K, but you guys are going all in. So well, better late than never. I'm glad they're doing it. So hopefully, I did pre-order them, so hopefully they look great. But it's
Yeah. I still got to pre-order that set with the giant claw because like I found like a VHS rip of it or whatever it was. So I did find it online and I did watch it, and it's for like the old black and white cheesy monster movies, it's definitely my favorite.
yeah, and I also love Mara Corday. She is so hot. She's so hot, Mara Corday. She's very hot. I know she was in that Black Scorpion movie, the Black Scorpion, I believe it was called.
Mm.
Yeah, I actually have the Warner Archive. I've yet to crack it open. So, and now that I'm talking about this right now, if I upload this to YouTube, there's gonna be a couple of people that, hey, when are you gonna talk? When are you gonna review it? Well, when I can, because right now I'm trying to cover the Halloween franchise. So,
Mm.
yeah, I've yet to finish my J horror marathon. So I'm pretty
Yeah.
so far behind.
And,
Oh,
and speaking of monsters, there's like one last thing in my writing, and I've been like I've it's about demons and stuff, and so they have them from like all over the planet, and so I'm like, there's this one guy who's from like the UK, and he's basically gathered like like my own reimagination of the universal monsters, and so you've got reimaginings of like Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde, stuff like that. And and I was researching monster movies, and so so the Frankenstein character in this is kind of like a combination of a whole bunch of other Frankenstein monsters. Like his origin is kind of similar to that of Frankenstein in Frankenstein Conquers the World, the one where he fought Baragon. And then he's also kind of like the Prometheus from like the scrapped King Kong versus Frankenstein movie, which eventually led into King Kong versus Godzilla. And then yeah, there's just it's a lot of fun, and I'm like almost finished with it, but I keep putting it off because I'm always working or I'm just too tired and really don't want to.
Yes, yeah. Same thing. It's like I always have this feeling that my audience is like, man, you're so late with your reviews. You're so late with some of the stuff that you keep promising. And it's just like, yeah, it's like we're fatigued with some of the work. It's especially how we both work. And because especially now that my schedule is like, even though I work at a movie theater, it's like unpredictable what days I'm gonna be at. So I'm very lucky that I got today off. And yeah, they
Oh
do get in
yeah,
the way.
yeah. I was lucky to get today off because like for the past month I've been working like almost every day except for like Thursdays. And Thursdays are like the day that like I go and I do karate and stuff like that. So I'm just constantly exhausted.
Yeah, no, I even go to the gym. Sometimes I remember one time I was gonna record like at least a video. I think it was just I forgot what it was. I think it was when I was reviewing all the Star Wars Skywalker movies and when I was reviewing them spoiler heavy and I just went I think I went to the gym and then I came back and I'm like, nah, I'm not doing anything because it's I overwhelmed myself with my workout and no, yeah, it gets in the way. Like hopefully tomorrow, sorry, excuse me. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to record my last J horror review. I'm trying to record at least a review for Audition, but then again, I gotta rewatch it. So maybe later on tonight, before I go to bed, I'm gonna try to rewatch it because I watched it. I popped in the Arrow Blu-ray, and then I paid attention to the first few minutes, but I was eating Chinese food, and I was just so focused on not making a mess. And
Yeah.
like the second act, I was not paying attention. And when the third act came out, I'm like, whoa, the torture scene happened. I'm like, oh, this where do we get? Oh, right. Yeah, I'm trying to at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. It's why I try not to get popcorn at the movies because I'll either be too focused on the popcorn and not watching the movie.
Yeah, it's. I gotta quickly watch it, and yeah. I mean, I did record. I get to edit it. I'm gonna record and upload tomorrow. I mean, upload it tomorrow. The Sadako versus Kayako film review. Oh boy. There's people that love that film. I'm sorry. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, it's in a way it's very cheesy, but oh my goodness, all I gotta say is that for my honest opinion, it's just like that movie's just wow. Like, was that even a fight? What the hell happened? It's, uh,
yeah,
yeah.
this October I'm planning to go back and I'm gonna rewatch like all of the classic Universal monster movies, which I hope they get like a collection of all the Universal monster movies and just put them in like a huge box set.
They
Even if
did.
I have to, oh, they did?
Yeah, they I actually have the DVD. It's the well, I want to upgrade to the Blu-ray. Well, I was gonna upgrade to the Blu-ray, but Universal messed up the Creature from the Black Laguna sequel discs, the sequels with that
Oh,
because it glitched and they thankfully they offered a replacement disc for free, but they messed up the resolution. Instead of 1080, it was 720p for the films to save disk space. I don't know what happened, but something
oh
happened
no.
with the sequels. I mean, the first one was fine, but the sequels, something happened with the encode, and some people were reporting that, dude, my Blu-ray looks pixelated like crazy. Like, what happened? So I'm like, oh shit. But they did put. I know they're putting up a 4K box set of just Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Phantom of the Opera, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and The Wolfman and The Mummy on 4K. Just not the sequels yet, but the first few films are coming out on 4K with the same packaging as the Blu-ray when it first came out. So,
Well, I'm gonna have to look into that because now I can, not look for them online and hopefully find them.
yeah, I reckon.
Because last year for our monster movies, we watched the original Mummy. We then rewatched the newest Invisible Man movie, which I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah, actually,
Um,
yeah.
and then we watched, I wouldn't call it a Universal monster movie, but we did watch Young Frankenstein. So
I love that movie. Yeah. Yeah, it's no, that's good. Yeah, I think the issue. Then again, the issue with the box sets, especially one last thing about the box sets, the Universal Unit box sets, the classic Monster Collection, is that a lot of the films overlap. So because they first released them individually, so like you're gonna get like I don't know like 5 copies of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein or like the Invisible Man. So
Yeah, they were really the first shared universe.
yeah, they were, and then Godzilla became a bit more
Godzilla
main.
was more well, not mainstream in Japan, less mainstream in America, but you know, they still had their crossovers because Mothra, Rodan, and King Kong all had their own films by the time Godzilla came around. And something interesting I found out about Mothra, I found this out at G Fest, was that it was actually an adaptation of a novel.
Yeah,
And
it is. Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm hoping one day, even though it'll be in Japanese, I hope I can find that novel just so I can own it, because I did buy the Steelbook Blu-ray that they had of uh, Mothra's first movie.
Beautiful, beautiful Blu-ray. It's just that just my little credit, my only nitpick is that it is an outdated 2008 master for the HD thing, because that's when and I did not know this really because it's when Toho was doing their masters in 2008 for like not just Godzilla but for Mothra, Rodan, and like the whole Tokusatsu lineup.
Yeah, I think I remember those. Like, 'cause I remember seeing. Because I think I've got a couple of those. Like I have Godzilla Raids Again, and then I have uh Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, and then recently I got Frankenstein Conquers the World.
That's out of print. Yeah, that's actually out of print.
Yeah, Frankenstein Conquers the World was, yeah. I mean, I got it cheap though. I got it for like $20.
Yeah, I actually got it the original DVD of this, not the ADV, but the before like Toho forced Media Blasters to pull it off the shelves was the Destroy All Monsters with the special features disc.
Oh,
So
was it like the 40? It was like you were the 40th anniversary, I think, and it came with like special features, and it came with like the soundtrack.
no, it was like the Tokyo Shock, the Media Blasters with the it was the whole controversy when they released the special features, like a commentary by C Rifle, but like when Toho found out that hey, we did not approve this, you got to pull it from the shelves. They pulled it, and they just released a bare bones. Even they removed the original English dub, which is the AIP dub.
Oh
Which
wow.
yeah, it's really nice to listen to it. It's just that it does have some glitches and hiccups at the beginning of the soundtrack because then again, it's from Steve Rifle's personal collection, and they didn't do restoration on the audio, but like it still sounded fine. But um, they did the same thing with Megalon, and then again, Toho told them no, just don't release this until or else take out the special features. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
my Megalon DVD, I think is like a I think my Megalon DVD is a bootleg, but it's been so long since I've, broken it out. I think the only two Godzilla movies I own that are bootlegs are Megalon and Biollante. But that's only because Biollante really didn't have a release on DVD in the US. I mean, it got a Blu-ray eventually, but that's now long out of print and like way out of my price range. So
I looked it up. Even for like that triple feature like copy, it goes for like 80 to 100 bucks, and I'm like, nope. And there's rumor. I don't know. I've heard that even the triple feature edition, they took out all the special features. It's like the deleted scenes and behind the scenes. They took it out just to save space for the octopus shot. Those Roger Corman films. But yeah, I remember I bought the DVD, the Echo Bridge DVD when it came out, like up at my Best Buy, and it was like $5, and the Blu-ray was $8. And I'm a little ashamed I'm not picking up the Blu-ray because I would love to upgrade it to HD. It's just that it's out of print, and I really hated how Echo Bridge. I don't. They could have just asked Toho for the source, but they decided to rip a VHS audio for the English dub, and it sounded very muffled. But when you switch it to the Japanese audio, it sounds very high definition.
yeah.
And like there's a scene with the with when the Super X2 was about to take off and you hear a hiccup in the sound. I'm like, what? it's it's crazy. But then again, there was a subtitle error there where it said where it showed the subtitle stamp mark, the number, but like they forgot to put the translation there. It's so
Mm.
hilarious. But oh yeah, I know they just I know that on I don't, if you do you follow Andre on Twitter?
Um, I don't know. I I follow so many people that I've lost track.
Yeah, I
Um,
know that. Yeah, because
I might.
I know that Andre and I think Gormaru are sharing screenshots of the 4K trailer of Biolante, and it looks really nice. It looks a little washed out a bit, but I think that's just a trailer. So hopefully the actual final product looks better.
Yeah,
Because
I'm hoping so too. Violent, aside from King Ghidorah, Violante is actually my favorite of the Heisei films. So
yeah, it's between that and the return. I really love the return, and because of just how amazing. I just like how well shot it is, and I just also love the music, even though it's not
yeah, it's not Ifakube's
yeah, it's not even Kube.
music.
It's yeah, I think it's Ko. No, I think Koji is the director. I'm not sure, but it's yeah, they got a television musician to do it, and I really like it. Even though I wish they could have added a theme song there. It's kind of like with as much as I really enjoy like Alexandre Desplat's score for 2014, I still wish he could have done a rendition of the theme. It's kind of like with the
Yeah.
return. Yeah, that's how I feel about the return. Is that I think the score is perfect. It's just missing the theme song. But I really love the, especially my favorite song. My favorite track is the Super X theme song when it's like fighting Godzilla. It's really nice.
Mhm.
But yeah, and oh man, such a freaking history with these with this franchise. Really, it's also like Godzilla was like I believe was one of the first. I think it was the franchise that created the sequel slash reboot thing too. It's like it's kind of like how I get mad. Like it's like with as much as I really enjoyed Halloween 2018, I'm like I still hate the title, but then again, I'm like wait, Godzilla sort of did it first because when the return
Oh yeah,
was called Godzilla.
with their remakes and direct sequels and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like it's just
Because during the 80s and 70s and 90s in America, you were getting newer films like Terminator, Predator, RoboCop. And I think America only started doing remakes in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
I think there were some remakes, but then again, they were like around the 80s or 90s, but they were so rare though. And
Yeah, like there's a few remakes of like Jekyll and Hyde. Like they had the first movie in like the 30s, I think, and then there was like a remake in like 1941, and then there was another one in like the 60s and 70s.
and I know there was a lot of remakes of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and people's favorite seems to lean towards the 78 version with yeah, with Jeff Goldblum and stuff like that. And a lot of people will point out to, well, what about The Thing? And I'm like, well, I don't consider that a remake. I consider that as an adaptation. It's like with Stephen King's It, how like the new movies are more of an adaptation rather than the remake, but it still harkens back to the original. So,
Yeah.
but it's just still its own standalone thing. It's not like it's a full blown like remake like that. But yeah, I remember. I think yeah, that's when around 2000. That's when the remake trend started because of I believe I think it started with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's when I think it started because that was such a successful remake. And hey, Michael Bay, let's go remake every slasher villain ever.
Yeah,
And
and then I remember Disney started remaking some of their old films from like the 50s and 60s. Like before it was cool when they started uh I think the first remake they did recently was Cinderella, but I could be wrong. Because Maleficent is more like it's more it's not a remake, but it's like more like a retelling from like a different point of view.
yeah, I thought it was a prequel, but it then again it kind of takes so much liberties and inconsistencies with the Sleeping Beauty one. So it's probably its own thing. It's like with Cruella, how like a lot of people, I heard that even a couple, my co-producer was like, I really enjoyed Cruella, even though that he was gonna see from so not long. And Cruella was like a standalone movie. It's not even a prequel. It's like a standalone thing, and it's that's what I was thought that that's what I thought I was getting with Maleficent. So, but yeah,
And
it's
then yeah, some Disney movies are so perfect that they completely remake them, but with CGI, like they did with Lion King. It's everything was line from line the exact same.
same
So
movie. Yeah, I saw it because of morbid curiosity, and I was so mad. I this before. Then again, I'm one of those that's. I mean, I was so grown, and but like I was one of those people that like judges a movie before I see it. But then again, you're like, all right, fine. You know what? I'm gonna stop judging it. I'm gonna go see it because a lot of my friends were like, oh, it's that's the whole point of it, is just to catch it in nostalgia. But I saw it and I'm like, dude, this is just barely. This is just the original movie. Just
like the only thing that changed is that I think they cut like Be Prepared was a lot shorter and not even like a full song.
yeah,
And think I think that was really it.
yeah,
Everything
yeah.
else. And you've got James Earl Jones, who just sounds like he's fed up with this movie because he's like, I
Yeah,
already did this, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's funny how like a lot of people kind of make fun of his voice when he did Rogue One. I'm like, really? Have you guys not seen The Lion King? That guy really phoned it in. At least with Rogue One, he actually was like comfortable and did multiple takes playing Darth Vader. But here, I'm like, he didn't want it to be
It's the
there.
exact same thing, yeah.
Yeah, he just didn't want it to be there. Obviously, at least he
Especially
had.
since they recast everyone like but him.
Yeah. So they know what their audience is, and heck, that shit made a lot of money. But I really hated
It
that movie.
yeah, it really made a lot of money for some reason.
I mean, I don't have a problem with nostalgia. It's just that we just don't do it like that. I mean, going back to Star Wars, I mean, I still enjoyed the Force Awakens, even though it's still kind of a remake of A New Hope. But I feel like it was necessary because it came out during a time when people still had the
Yeah,
taste of.
Star Wars was kind of because the Clone Wars had ended, that TV show had ended, and I don't think people were really watching. Uh, it was whatever came after that. I think it was like Star Wars Rebels or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it was Rebels. Yeah,
Yeah, so Star Wars was kind of going downhill, and then Force Awakens came out, and then suddenly Disneyland is now Tomorrowland is now Star Wars, and it got kind of everyone got back into Star Wars, and I do wish that they continued the story of The Last Jedi instead of ignoring it and going back to what J.J. Abrams originally wanted to do.
yeah. Actually, even though they, of course, I'm one of those. As much as I enjoy the sequels, I'm like, they should have had a plan, but what what was going on with, in a way, they did kind of had a plan. It's just that the it did, and after The Last Jedi, they didn't go with it because of the backlash and the toxic fans, and they were just they honestly, the Rise of Skywalker was more of a film for those angry Reddit fans
But
than.
even so, it got that film I felt got more anger and hate because it didn't follow Last Jedi or something like that.
Yeah, that's it's my main complaint is that for the Rise of Skywalker, it's just that it really felt that it felt like it was just, yeah, it was only panning towards the people who that hated it, and it was trying to retcon a lot of stuff that was establishing. Because I mean, I love The Last Jedi, and I'm not mad because it kind of threw what Ryan Johnson did. I'm just mad because it threw away everything. Not even JJ. I say JJ Abrams even threw away the stuff he was establishing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are like, "Oh, look at that! He's throwing shade at Ryan." No, he was involved with the Last Jedi. JJ. It's just that he was just like, "Oh shit, what am I gonna do now?" So it's like, let me just do the Return of the Jedi, but just better. I mean, not better, bigger. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, and yeah, and Colin Trevorrow, especially that the script leaked. I'm like, not only is this a proper, yeah, it's like how you like, it's basically what they're going with the direction that the Last Jedi had, but it was also a sequel to the entire 9 movies. I'm like, this is amazing. It's like we on paper. I mean, then again, we don't really know exactly if it could have been good or not because of it never happened. But from the concepts and from the scripts, I'm like, this could have been a great finale towards the sequel trilogy. It could have stood on its own. And that was my issue with the sequel trilogy is that it had the chance, the Last Jedi was giving it an identity, and yet it just became a nostalgia trip instead, and exploited it, in my opinion.
Yeah, hopefully when and if the MCU ever ends, they don't 20 years or 30 years from now, they don't go back and try to remake the entire MCU because it was popular.
Yeah. So speaking of MCU, going back to Shang-Chi.
Oh
So
yeah, now that we've talked about the Universal monsters, Godzilla and Star Wars.
mainly shared universes in general because MCU is still a shared universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually wanted to talk about Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, she's um I li- I liked her in it. I've liked her in a lot of things. Um I was watching Star Trek Discovery. She's in Star Trek Discovery. I can't remember the character's name, but she kind of felt like that character, only nice and could airbend, you know.
Yeah. I actually
But
like the yeah.
she was still outstanding in the film. She's not a bad actress. She was amazing. She was cool. I like seeing her in it. Uh, um, all I felt was missing was like Randall Park's character from I think um WandaVision. Was he in WandaVision? I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah, he was. He was also in the Ant-Man movies, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was in the Ant-Man movie. He was in the second one. So
yeah, because they got all their Asian characters in it. I mean, Wong was in it. I thought Wong he was pretty funny.
yeah, I know that some people like because I was ushering yesterday, last night. I was closing last night. I was ushering for Shang-Chi. And a couple people were cringing at that Hotel California when he's karaokeing with them. I'm like, hey, that's very Wong. Like, why are you guys like cringing? That's very like Wong would do.
Yeah, I thought their cuts to karaoke pretty was pretty funny,
Yeah.
especially after Wong just heavy info dumped all of this. He's like, go home, go to sleep. And you're like, oh, okay. And Sean's like, wait, or and then then it goes to karaoke.
Yeah, no, that's very much Wong's character, man. And I actually can't wait to see as much screen time as little screen time he's gonna have in Spider-Man. I can't wait to at least see him again.
Yeah, I wonder if in Spider-Man he was going to the Fight Club, like
Yeah.
in the thing that was cool about the Fight Club was that there was a lot of Easter eggs in it. Like when they're walking by the cages, you see like I don't remember what they called them, but like in Iron Man 3, they had all the characters that would like heat up and then explode or whatever. They were supposedly like the 10 Ring Army, but I can't remember what they're called. They would just heat up and then like some of them would explode and they'd be like molten lava and stuff like that.
There's a
One of those guys was in it.
Yeah, and I know that Asian character from Godzilla versus Kong was in it. The Tide Pod guy.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, yeah. Let's see. I recognized him, but there's a retired sumo wrestler named Yama, and he lives in LA, and he goes around and he does sumo training every now and then. But he was a huge sumo wrestler back in Japan, and I recognized him being in the film. He was like fighting some karate guy, and he like smacked him against the window or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a ton of just Easter eggs with just an Asian culture, not just Chinese and Japanese.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then they had uh I posted about this like yesterday. Andy Lee who does he runs the Martial Club YouTube channel. And he does, he's doing like independent, like just little martial arts films with his friends. And I saw him on the red carpet, and I didn't know that he was also in the movie. He was like, I don't think the character was given a name, but he had like the kabuki mask on, and he'd be like whipping on Sean like when he was a child, trying to correct his form and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. The trainer guy, right? Or something?
That's who he was.
Wow. Crap. Wow. Oh, speaking of the YouTube thing, or that one character that was like that fantastic bus scene. The when he was
Oh,
just
the
like
guy with the sword arm.
no, the guy with the phone, he was just like, "Hey guys, I'm
Oh
an
yeah.
expert in martial arts, and I'm just gonna be judging this."
Yeah, I'm gonna do a breakdown of these moves.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I was also in the audience. Even Corey from Double Toasted put in his that. I'm just like, dude, then help him. Then if you know martial arts, go
Yeah.
there, do your thing.
But
There.
I feel that would be a very I mean, you see on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube how many like fights are just recorded instead of people like stepping in. So I'm like, that's totally something that would happen
Yeah.
if someone was on that bus.
And be all training. He's like, oh shit, world star. I'm like, dude, okay. And again, he would have
However,
gotten this.
I did go to San Francisco like 4 weeks ago. And I personally, I think it was an unrealistic expectation of the roads because they did not hit a single stoplight. And when you're going up and down those hills, it's like a stoplight after stoplight. And then it's just all green lights as you're going downhill. Or it'll be the other way around.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Well,
traffic is crazy there.
yeah, I heard even in LA because I have a lot of my 80% of my family lives in California and they live around Stockton, but that's not too far from San Francisco. So yeah, no, they be complaining too I think when some of them I think work in either in LA or San Francisco and they just be complaining. So I'm like,
Yeah.
also just
Something
like
that they in Sean, he lived in a garage, but like if you look closely, he's got lots of posters for like old like kung fu movies and stuff like
Hustle,
that.
yeah. I almost shouted when I saw the Kung Fu Hustle poster. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I love that. It's one of my favorite comedy movies of all time, and yeah, it was great, and yeah, it was really nice seeing all those Kung Fu movies and all that stuff like back there, and yeah, and also for like a claustrophobic environment, they didn't know how to shoot it.
Yeah.
All right, go on. Sorry, I thought I interrupted you.
Oh no. Well, the thing that I really liked about this movie is that the way that I saw it was that this was essentially how I saw like Bruce Lee and Hong Kong action movies back when I was like crazy about them and I'd be watching them, but no one else really understood why I liked them and stuff like that. So this is kind of like how I saw these movies, but they gave that to me plus like, dialed to 11, put it on steroids or something.
Hours. Yeah. No, and mine is the little cat cries that Bruce Lee used to do.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for some of those at least once, but
Even though that's not what he really did in real life. He even said so himself that he only did it because of it looked cool on screen, but in real life he never grunted like that. But he knows like Bruce knew like how to like, hey, I know how, Hollywood works, so I'll just give him a show instead. Not what
yeah,
give him a real thing, but also give him a show.
yeah. Speaking of Bruce Lee, I was surprised, like this goes to Bruce Lee, but like Donnie Yen played IP Man, and I was surprised he wasn't in this movie at all, considering it's a martial arts movie.
Yeah.
It was probably because he was in Mulan and he was also in like Mortal Kombat kind of back to back. So he was probably busy.
Was he in Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, he was in Mortal Kombat. I can't remember his name. He wasn't Raiden.
That
But
was yeah, it was he's a Japanese guy for sure. He was in the Midway movie, but he was also in the Thor Ragnarok. Raiden, yeah.
yeah.
It was I think are you thinking of Shang Tsung?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's no, that's the guy from The Dark Knight. That
Oh,
was
okay.
the yeah, that's the one that Batman kidnaps or whatever that he throws that he like he goes all the way to Hong Kong and then he like does that famous IMAX sequence and then he just like flies him in the plane and
Yeah.
yeah, that was him.
Well, I know Donnie Yen was definitely in Mortal Kombat. I just can't remember the character's name. It's probably going to come to me at like the least convenient time in my life.
Yeah, he probably did. He probably played like a masked character or maybe something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe Cabal. I don't know. Maybe it was a.
Maybe.
I think that Cabal was more of a voice, giving that Boston accent voice and shit. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because I just remembered, you said Bruce Lee, and then I thought IP Man, and then I thought, Donnie Yen, and then I thought it's the guy who plays Bruce Lee. I'm not even gonna try to say his name
yeah,
because I'm just gonna butcher it, but that guy has played Bruce Lee for like the past like 10, 15 years in
yeah,
like a lot of Chinese action films that they have Bruce Lee in either as a biopic or just like as a background character.
yeah.
And it's strange because he really looks like so much like Bruce Lee, and it's just kind of scary.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking. Yeah, I don't know the actor's name, but I know he's a Stephen Chow regular. He was in Shaolin Soccer. He was the goalie in Shaolin Soccer. And of course he dressed up as the Game of Death Bruce Lee when he had the banana looking suit and he did that and he would like tell the soccer players to come on, man, like give me your best shot. And he was a villain in Kung Fu Hustle. He played Brother Sum. He was the axe gang leader.
Mm.
And yeah, he looked unrecognizable with that facial hair, but then once you take it off, that's like, oh shit, that's the actor that plays Bruce Lee and
It's Bruce
everything.
Lee 2.0, yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Lee 2.0. Yeah, I'm like, holy crap. And oh yeah, no, I've seen every single It Man movie except for the fourth one. I did pick that up. I did pick up the 4K box set, so hopefully I'll be able to check it out. But right now,
I've got I had the first three on like a box set, on a Blu-ray box set, and then I was just at Walmart one day and like the fourth one was there and I was like, okay, I might as well get it. I still haven't watched it, but I've got it.
I cried at the soundtrack. I cried like near the. It's in Chinese. It's in Cantonese, but like I can tell that it is the last few minutes of the film when you listen to the score, and it is actually it's the end credits theme, and it's very funeralistic, as I like to say. It's
Yeah.
like I did see the ending of the fourth one, but then again, I don't know the full context, so in a way, I still don't know what's going on. So
The fourth one, from what I hear, is like very fictionalized, but was still like they still wanted to do it because they're like, we've still got money from the studio from the first three films, so might as well.
yeah, and I think that even I think all of them were not all of them, but most the first. I know even the first three were in a way fictionalized, especially that I believe that Ip Man never fought a Japanese general. I think, or maybe he
Yeah.
did. Yeah, it's very fictionalized, but still, I think it's in a way. I think that's not the point. I think it's the point not to be accurate. I think the point is just to honor the man that trained not just Bruce Lee, but many things like a lot of well-known martial artists. So
Yeah.
he was the master to go to at the time. So yeah, and I believe that some people, a couple of my like a lot of my friends that just love martial art fans, so like that's probably he's like that is the one guy that Bruce Lee cannot beat, and that is It Man, his own master.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And
actually
that was the one thing I noticed with Shang-Chi was that two they use the two distinct versions of kung fu where Wen Wu and the Ten Rings, they're more Wing Chun. Meanwhile, his mom and her village, they're more like Tai Chi and like, that Shaolin style kung fu. So it was very cool to see the two of them clash. And then at the end, you've got Sean who, he can do not only the Wing Chun, but also the Tai Chi stuff, and it just kind of melds together really nicely.
Yeah, I think he took the Bruce Lee style. I think he kind of like is even the stance is more like combining all of it. I forgot Jeet Kune Do. I think it's
Yeah,
yeah, I think Shang's supposed to represent Jeet Kune Do and and his father Wing Chun and yeah, Tai Chi his mother. So it's like with what Bruce Lee did. He wanted to take Wing Chun, but also like combine every single fighting style. So that's why he created this thing called I just said it and I forgot it. Jeet Kune Do. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it was. I almost.
yeah.
All right.
That being said, I just want to see, like, if they're going to be bringing back all these actors for like Spider-Man, right? I think they should just bring back all the Marvel heroes. And the only thing that I want now is Iron Fist and Shang-Chi to team up in a movie. That's really all I want now.
Yeah. I heard that they messed up the show though for Iron Fist.
Yeah, Iron Fist was it was really slow and really, really, really boring. But I like the actor who played him, and most of the martial arts was pretty good. I mean, because Daredevil is trained in some forms of Wing Chun as well as boxing and everything like that, it wasn't that much different from Daredevil, except he didn't really have any weapons to throw or beat people with. So that's probably why it got skipped over, because Daredevil had kind of done that action stuff and made it cool.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe I say they can cast the same actor that played Iron Fist and just reboot him, like remake him, or they could just do the multiverse thing. So,
Yeah,
'cause we all know that, even though that I mean, Loki establishes the multiverse thing, but I know that for the MCU, Spider-Man is gonna do it for the movies, and well, we'll just see. I feel that after the Infinity Saga, I'm like, I keep saying, even as much as I really enjoy the MCU, I'm like, what are they gonna do? Like, how are you gonna do that? How are you
yeah,
gonna
that's how I feel. I just feel like after Infinity War and Endgame, it's like it it's basically over. I mean, even in the comics, when they defeat Thanos, he's never actually gone. He still comes back like every 5-6 years or something like that.
Yeah, I think people are gonna be like, "Oh, what about Galactus? What about this? What about that?" But I'm like, well, yeah, but I expect a different. I mean, maybe in another saga, whatever. But here, I feel that this is keeping. I think this is the perfect way to do it with the whole multiverse thing, especially how now they're gonna share it with Shang-Chi and sharing it with multiple, probably very different variants of his father. So
Yeah,
who knows? Yeah, it's
they could like set up the Protectors, because the Protectors is like, it's like the Asian American team that's basically the Avengers, because Earth's got multiple teams of heroes. And so like the Protectors is Shang-Chi, um, Miss Marvel, who is also going to be getting a Disney Plus series. Um, I think his name's like Amadeus Choi. Like, he was Hulk from like 2011 to like 2016 or something like that. Um, I can't remember the other ones, but they were a pretty cool team of heroes, and like they kind of formed because Shang-Chi teamed up with Spider-Man, and after that, the Avengers, because they were fighting, I think it was like Silver Samurai or something like that. So they kind of all formed up because of Shang-Chi, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I think this could be a way to, set that up.
yeah. Or maybe they're gonna do with like, hey, this is the new Avengers, but it's gonna be led by Shang-Chi and Peter Parker or whatever. So it's like it's kind of like with the Avengers, it's led by Tony and Steve. This could be led by both of them.
Yeah.
Since they already like jamming it down our throat, they're like shoving it down our throats with possibly having Peter Parker as the next Avenger. So I'm like, okay. As much as I quite enjoyed the Spider-Man we got, I'm like, don't come on, don't do that. And even I believe Far From Home is trying to do that, like not to like have him as the next Tony Stark, which is good because uh I mean, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time, and I'm like, I don't like seeing that path they're trying to force him on. Which hopefully they 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 don't do that with him. So, well, who knows?
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Yeah, especially like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back. People are like, they even Andrew's like denying it again, but like, don't come on, man. I mean, Willem
Yeah.
Dafoe, yeah. Willem Dafoe,
Everyone's like, come on, man. You're in it.
yeah. Let us just bask in it, man.
All right. Well, this was fun, but my phone is now dying. So I think I gotta head out here.
All right, man. So yeah, any last thoughts, any final thoughts, and maybe a little plug-in, something like that.
Um one thing that I liked was that I guess like they're calling the Thanos snap the blip, and there's lots of posters like promoting like dating apps for people who were snapped away, and like they've got posters for support groups for people who were snapped away. And but overall I really liked Shang-Chi. I liked how it was like Black Panther is like, yes, Black Panther, he's in the MCU, but it's very much, it's just a Black Panther movie. And Shang-Chi, yes, he's in the MCU, but it's really just, you know, Shang-Chi. It's, you know, its own thing separate from the MCU, while, you know, still being part of the MCU.
Yeah, still be part of MCU, but also not heavily relying on to you to see other MCU films. Just like standalone thing.
Yep.
It's
And I am glad it blew me away, because as excited as I was for it, the trailers were kind of meh, but yeah, it was great. Definitely one of my favorite Marvel movies, and I'll you know, I'm gonna get it on like Blu-ray, maybe 4K Blu-ray, because I finally managed to get a PlayStation 5, but I don't know if my TV is 4K. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I'll just, you know, I'll just make do.
Yeah, and since it looks like Hollywood is gonna stop doing 2K digital DIs, which is like the final product thing. It's like with Black Widow is a true 4K master, it's not 2K, so that's good. So I feel like Shang-Chi is gonna be true 4K, so I can't wait for that. But it's just that I'll just get the Blu-ray because I don't think it's fair, because I have all the MCU other. It's like with my DCEU, the only exception is Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition on 4K, because it has the IMAX restored, but yeah, it's like with my DC and my Marvel collection is that I want to just be consistent, but man, maybe it's like with DC.
Yeah. I still don't have Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like everyone was getting that on Blu-ray, and mine still hasn't shipped.
I got it on the day it came out. Well, I got it because I pre-ordered it, but like I have yet to post it on. I might just post it tonight though on Twitter. Be like, you know, hey, I'm late. Sorry, I'm late to the party, but I got this on release date.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I've really got to say. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. It's like one of my top. It's like top 3 best films of 2021 for me.
Definitely top 1 MCU movie, because Wenwu was amazing. But that's just me being a simp, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, I should get going, because like my phone is like telling me I gotta go plug in. So.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go rewatch Audition.
All right. Well, I'll see you around.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for watching this video.